goddess of mercy. Gentle hearts, as I prepare to bring you my living instruction this day, instruction for guidance in the unfoldment of the spiritual life God has given into your trust. It is first of all to remind you that there is a divine pathos in the universe, a feeling that wells up within the individualized manifestation of the monad as it is united phase by phase with the universal presence. The factor of love, so often neglected by many, must be experienced rather than discussed. For frankly I say to you this day that the buoyancy and beauty of radiant humility within mankind, when at last he comes in contact with the reality, the blazing reality of mercy from the heart of his own individualized God presence, as a shining dewdrop unites with the sea, is beauteous to behold, a tribute of cosmic honor that straightens the spine of each man or woman, that causes them to feel the enormous potential of their own spiritual possibility. Heaven has exhibited the quality of mercy unto them. And by reason of this mercy, there is hope appearing, perhaps for the first time, to their consciousness, that God's mercy will make a pathway, a channel carved out almost of the solid rock of manifestation, before them on the way, that they may pass through and be reunited with that God presence that gave them birth and perfection, ordained from the beginning. A Christic manifestation, a shining pathway of light, held before their gaze as a gossamer veil for a moment, and then taken away. And perception looms before them with that inward feeling that is in the heart, that is no longer frustrated by reason of the various vicissitudes of life that have thwarted them, that have frustrated them in their divine search. Now at last, heaven has taken interest in them, each one per se, and each one really. For God does take interest in his creation, beckoning mankind onward. The beacons of hope are indeed ablaze before the gaze of all. The sweet divinity of universal love ever awakens and never creates a condition of sleep upon mankind, imposed as a heavy veil, but rather a sense of the dominant reality of God. And so I speak of the veils of form, those blessed manifestations that whereas at times they may not seem to fulfill human needs, in reality, by their realism, enable mankind to capture a sense of progress. the knowledge of where they are at a given moment on the spiritual pathway, that they may take those necessary steps in the name of the cosmic hierarchy that fulfill destiny for them. For they have spiritual needs, the needs for progress. And they perceive this, and they do what is needed, that they may become one with God. Afterwards, when there dawns upon them the magnificence of cosmic action, the magnificence of cosmic love and care, they understand that all things work together for good to those who love God, to the called according to his purpose. When we speak of the veils of form, we may often speak of dusty roads. We may speak of barren lands and of fruitful ones. We may speak of glorious, growing things that appear before the gaze of man. A stalk of wheat, or even a grain thereof. A bud, or a flower in bloom. The injured wing of a tiny bird that holds him earthbound. Or the radiance that pours from the sun and illumines a skylark in flight. All things that appear before the gaze of man that consist of form are not to be discarded or condemned, for the handiwork of heaven is everywhere apparent in the world, mingling darkness and light, creating strands of shadow and strands of cosmic brilliance. The sunburst of infinite reality is transmuted and transmutative. Transmuted, for even light is varying in its colorations and its intensities. Therefore, embodied mankind can learn much from the forces of nature. They can either bask in the sunlight of God's love or remain imbued in consciousness with the darkened skies and oppressions of human hatred, which they allow, per se, to permeate their feeling world. In the name of sweet mercy, then, I come to you this day to bring the spiritual Son of Mercy into manifestation among you. Mercy not only to yourselves, but also mercy unto others. For embodied mankind need the anointing of the sweet oil of mercy. The laws of karma are also the laws of mercy. When mankind understand that, they will cast aside the pricks of ignorance that make it difficult for them to understand why they are experiencing a specific action in their life. Well, beloved ones, won't you then accept the offerings of this morning from the platter of mercy which I bring, literally laden with those precious treasures of divine mercy? Won't you have this quality toward yourself? Won't you exhibit it toward others? Won't you expand the quality of mercy in the world order? For as you give mercy and forgiveness unto those who have wronged you, will you not also invoke the same procedure from the hand of the karmic lords, from the hand of heaven? O beloved mankind, what a treasure heaven has prepared for you. What sweetness and joy lies ahead upon the spiritual path, once the obscurities and challenging conditions, which are the result of your own karmic meandering, are fulfilled. Do you see that out of the bounty of God's mercy will come forth a flood of great spiritual strength? a treasure of knowing that is the indomitable will of God for you. No longer will you involve yourself just in varied aspects of your human will, but now the treasures of the infinite are yours, consciously, willingly, lovingly received, and lovingly bestowed upon mankind. Great is our God, and greatly to be praised. The mercy of God that droppeth as the gentle rain upon the earth is a symbol. Teardrops of diamond crystal vibrating white radiance, bestowing with that radiance the oil, the golden oil of peace and rejoicing. For all acts of mercy are magnificent, bestowing a quality upon mankind that is almost unspeakable. For there wells up within the human soul, within the human heart, a fountain softly, gently flowing, that as it appears in the heart, it takes on new dimensions of service and opportunity. The past that is prologue becomes the gateway to new opportunity, ever unfolding, the doorway shining as diadems of crystal white light appear, is a doorway of hope. I shall not ask you to consider the opposite today, for your world has been too filled with shadow and pain, and the sense of struggle, and the turmoil and the vanity, and the confusion. Instead, I shall ask you to consider the garments you wear, the spiritual garments, as you do your outer adornment. For when the spiritual garments men wear, which may not be seen by all, are washed by the spiritual anointing, and the gospel of mercy is everywhere revealed by the acts of your life, there will come into manifestation the shining garments of a Christ. A seamless robe of pure light will appear upon your blessed bodies, transmuting and changing all the dust and the manifestations that are less than perfection into the radiance of pure light by the alchemical transformation of the power of God's love for man. I am Kuan Yin. I am available to those who need me. I offer myself in the service of the universal Christ and the universal Mother to create that understanding that will literally tie you to her apron strings, as some among mankind have said. And strong men without shame shall rejoice at the tie, at the union, at the blessed opportunity to wear the garments, the anointed garments of her Son. O beloved among mankind, in the name of infinite mercy, I say, let us spare the world great suffering this day. Let us see to it that wherever mankind are, by the power of the angelic ministrants, we may strike a blow for joy. We may strike a symbol signifying the anointing of happiness, that we may spread abroad everywhere the fruit of cosmic weaving, the intent of God for man. Let us send then into the old folks' homes and places where those who wait for death linger, a ray of bright hope. Let it be as a sun shining in intensity, and inwardly, with eyes of inner vision, let even the dull-witted ones perceive the gaiety and joy of God this day. Into the prison houses, into the places where the insane are incarcerated, everywhere where there is unhappiness, let us anoint them as on the Passover Eve, with the drops of infinite mercy. So I charge you, so I charge the angelic ministrants, so be it done by the power of the infinite Son of universal wisdom, and the power of the entire karmic board, I say, let it be done. Let happiness be increased upon this plane, be it but for a time, or for a season. Wherever possible, let us set aside karmic action and retribution. Let us give mankind the joy bells of the year of Jubilee. Let the joy bells of Jubilee ring out. And in my closing statement, I give the greatest wisdom. Let all take advantage of their opportunity to expand their life into the force field of God's love this very year. Summum bonum. In the name of the greatest good, your own I am presence, I say, let it be done. I thank you. The Ascended Master Fun Way. Oh, won't you be at peace concerning your life? Won't you relinquish that tight hold you have upon the manifestation of consciousness, that which you call your own, and in sweet surrender let your consciousness abide in a unified sense in the heart of every flower in the world, in all the lands thereof. For the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. What joy can come in to the mind and consciousness that will surrender its tight attempt to create a knot of consciousness? Allow yourself to be loosened from the moorings of stultification, of humanity, of carnality, of the flesh and the earth, and try to realize that that consciousness that is within you is the essence of God's own light, that all creation and manifestation everywhere occurring is also a manifestation of God's own light. You do not need to be completely confined to the body as to a prison house, but allow the mind and spirit to roam the benign halls of the world. There may be places where humanity have gathered together for a sordid purpose. Go not there, albeit some manifestation of God's life must remain there, else it would fade away into dust and shadow. True it is that in effect it is already dust and shadow, for only that which is the abundant and joyful spirit of rejoicing in the eyes of God for the quality of life and the great gift of life that he has bestowed upon humanity is worthy of manifestation. We want you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, to relinquish the outer self just long enough to feel the great bond of infinite freedom that is within you, to become a creature of the universe, loosen from your moorings and drifting by divine direction upon the great sea of God omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence. Will you recognize the reality of your presence at this moment? Will you strive to understand what is acting in your world? Is that which is acting in your world a manifestation of carnal purpose, or is it the manifestation of immortal life? Are you a flower of heaven, fragrant with purpose, manifesting a sense of divine appreciation? Have you thought what it would be like to be a sunbeam, to be a ray of light traveling through space, rippling with divine energy, the cosmic Shakti, and bringing beauty and light everywhere? Then do so. Allow yourself to be vested with the power of the wind. Let it become your magic carpet upon which your mind can fly. Be a flower nodding in the wind. Feel the fresh glow and warmth of sun and wind commingled. Be not crushed by dogmatic fear, but rejoice in the God of love and light. The ascended master purpose is to free you from darkness and human infamy. You no longer need to feel wedded to the senses of the world that are oppressive and stuffy. You can open the windows of the mind and soul to the penetration of God's love. The incenses from the altars of heaven falling to the earth beneath manifest as the wonders of nature. These have not sinned. Impose not then upon the tiny elemental parts of life the imposition of your own wrong thoughts and feelings. Consider the thorns, how they appear as the result of man's sharp and jagged thoughts, of hatred and darkness toward one another. Exchange this for the crown of life. For the crown of thorns ought to rest on no master's head, or upon no man's head, but only the crown of roses, lilies of the valley, garlands of sweetness, and laurel wreaths of purpose. You are children of the dawn. From the age-old splendor of ancient halls of purpose, the cycles have kindled and rekindled in man the ancient knowledge which has come again fresh unto this age. With it have also come into the world manifestation, through darkened minds, those sordid purposes that are not abundant life. Let them fall unto the ground as dried leaves, or as darkened and braised blossoms that ought never to be or never to have been. Instead, place your consciousness upon the immortal sense, the sense that does not create in you dust, but life. You are life, and to you is given this day from higher octaves, the realm of the angels, the realm of the Son of God, the realm of the masterful purpose for which God created all life, that destiny that you should bear to the family of nations. For everywhere the purposes of God should be spread abroad, purposes of dominion, purposes that create a joyous mood in those beautiful things that are the activities of heaven. Is wrath an activity of heaven? Is hatred of brother for brother an activity of heaven? Is shadow and storm and raging sea a purpose of heaven? I tell you nay. But as in the South Sea Islands, when the sun blazes her noontide fires, and the chalices of the flowers uphold themselves as gay altars to the universe, as the gentle breezes blow and the soft seas flow, and life appears in freshness and relaxation, this is the fun way of life. This is the way of the soul that rests as a blossom upon the transient wind. Fear not, for God is with thee in thy rejoicing that upholds his own honor and name. Oh yes, there is so much to be recovered in life. While man is discovering and rediscovering scientific secrets and wonders, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand that they have not even tapped the secrets of God, by which the universe was gently and so perfectly framed. Your physical bodies, they are but reflections of identification. And you identify, unfortunately, almost totally with those bodies. When, ladies and gentlemen, in reality, you are a soul and a solar mind flowing with the cosmic wind through solar regions of infinite space. Cosmic fires are banked and burn, blaze and create worlds anew, blazing with light. They bring to your view a realm of supernal delight. Creation, wondrous quality of God given to man, this is the fun way of life. For as the Father wrought mightily to perform his work, so may ye work mightily to perform his work. For he has given to you one and all the wondrous gifts of life. They are the treasures of mind and spirit, so often glossed over as though they existed only within a filmy sediment. We want you to understand that all can become vibrant life. A song, an orchestration, a beautiful sense manifest in nature, the kindling of a fire within the heart and soul. These are of God. For he has given these gifts unto you, shining diadems of faith and love and hope, that do not question the purposes of the universe, but just know that God is. You need not struggle, beloved ones, with questioning the reality of the universe, for this but dulls its luster. But now I urge upon all of you the refreshing basking of your soul in the mountainous faith that is like the sun shining in his strength. O solar wind, sweep away the doubts that have impinged themselves upon the fiats of mortal mind, and replace them all by the great positivity of the cosmic mind of God, the strength of other worlds shining within this one. Let all understand what it means to identify then with the various facets of nature. Now we see the individual consciousness literally soaring out of the body, the brain, and the mind, and traveling to the farthest stars, only to find that the same qualities that exist there are here upon this shining, lustrous home you call the earth. The God of love has made the sands and the wind, that the sands may dance in the wind and be aerated by the freshness of the rain and penetrated by the sacred fire of the sun. All is a melody, an orchestration of chromatic harmony. O beautiful souls, will you free yourselves then from all that which you have identified with that is so tied to the place where your physical form is, and realize that that which is your physical form may share the common bond of God reality with every part of life. You may be a tree walking, or a sunbeam, or a flame blazing, or you may be a flower just growing, radiating, and being. You may be a forest of many trees, or a multitude of waters, to be lapped up by thirsty tongues. For you are all things with God. You twinkle in the night sky, and you blaze in the day sky. Everywhere in you is the quality of nature, for the quality of nature is one of the qualities of God. To identify with nature is not to sink into oblivion, but to arise into the realization of who and what you are. And then one day, nature, receiving the gift of your own consciousness, will become transformed literally, until all blights and all that is blighted will be removed from the face of life. And nature will exchange with you that which you once exchanged with her. For you are givers and creators, not just receivers. What a pity it is that mankind have stretched forth their hands as if to partake of the tree of life, wresting by stormy conquering from heaven the domain of life, and yet never receiving it. For bitterness and sordid ash rests upon their tongue. There is no sweetness in the mouth and no sweetness in the belly. But now those who forge ahead, recognizing the reality of what God is, will find both sweetness in the mouth and sweetness in the belly. And if momentarily that which appears in the belly as sweetness seems to be bitter, they will understand that this too is a chastening test, and that one day they will rejoice as their hand is put to the plow, to plow a straight furrow, and to forsake the darkness of the world. Those who call themselves family and friends, those who seek to lead them astray, those who say to them, "Run with us the way we go," when they know not the way. For the way of God is like the greatest delight, for it is the greatest delight. I say to you today that it is possible for the mind of man to go back to the very paradise of heaven in consciousness. to the Eden of God, when he knew only perfection and mastery. Outwardly, men seek power. Inwardly, those who become one with God have power. They need not to display it, to know that it is there. For the moment that it is needed, it will manifest. Oh, beloved ones, the fun way of living is the God way of living. It is the abundant life for which the Christ came into manifestation in ye all. I am fun way, and I rejoice in those of East and West, yet to externalize in their consciousness the great joys of God that will sweep away all the debris and turmoil and make them God-free beings, able to be as God is and not cringe. For the heart of man today has often become such that it cringes at the very idea of being God-like. What a pity! What a denial of him before their fellow men! Is it any wonder, then, that the cosmos denies them also before the Father? Well, beloved hearts of light, we do not want any of you to fall into that way of life or into dusty confusion, but rather by clear thinking and the radiance of tomorrow claim today to recognize that you are the future, the wave of heaven, now manifesting upon the altar of your mind and heart, new thoughts fresh from the hand of God, directing you unto the great purposes of his eternal love. Then you see man walks hand in hand with nature, and the fun way of living is complete. For the cycles of life are not deprivation. Heaven does not intend to deprive nature, the great mother, of the bliss of consciousness. Through you, then, you see even inert matter, as engaged by the consciousness of your mind, will suddenly sweep itself upward into a renewal of its life. And the flowers will really orchestrate. The music of the spheres be heard within the mind and soul. Identification with the whole universe be complete, and man no longer be confined to his own cesspool of ignorance. He will let go of the old molding concepts of yesterday and see in the fragrance of tomorrow the cup of life for him to drink. And in the great drinking of that cup of life, beloved ones, mankind will be the victor. And as they become the victor, they will fashion and create in God's name more beauty that shall penetrate this world and be manifest than was ever dreamed of. For then you will not see only the act of creation by God, by Spirit, but by many spirits, just men made perfect by the one fire of his radiance, blazing on the heart altar of all. As I leave you this day, it is with the positive thought of your victory over life. It is with the positive thought of your eventual emancipation from everything that binds you, from all that keeps you from seeing the great God plan heaven has for each one and for all of life. It is a great pity that the world has allowed themselves to become inkpots of darkness, writing and scribbling upon the book of life those engrams that are darkened and shadowed. Let them instead reckon with the fact that as they have written shadow and darkness, so now may they inscribe with the pen of their mastery their own name victoriously upon the book of life. For those who are written there have done so by accepting the plan heaven has for all. Each may receive the call from life unto life. You are a part of life. Can you deny that? Well then, if you are a part of life, would you not like to be all of life? Is this not what it is all about, beloved ones? Men desire to expand. How can they expand in life? Except they take that which belongs unto another. Seeing all are entitled to the abundant life, then this, in a sense, is a kindergarten where man may claim the universe. And as the great origin of life springs up into the well of consciousness, man will perceive at last that he is not a thing apart from the universe, but identifying with it. All the way man identifies with God. All the way each part of the whole identifies with the whole. All the way the great trumpet of life sounds forth, "Ye are my chosen, as ye have chosen me, so choose I you." I thank you.
Will you give me the power to balance your perceptions? Will you give me, in the holy name of God, the right to objectify those conceptions that come to your mind and being? If so, I will undertake for you. I will assist you. I will direct into your world those qualities that are of correct perception. Mankind today, as in past times, depend almost totally on their intellect. And oh, what an unfortunate thing it is. What a tragedy that humanity permit themselves to fasten their attention upon that which is a mere accumulation of factors without understanding the great cosmic reflections that come from higher levels of manifestation. We are, as Elohim, the manifestation of divine qualities in their purest state. We yearn to give our assistance unto embodied mankind. We yearn to give embodied mankind the fullness of those perceptions that they are capable of handling at a particular time in their life. Will you understand that when you turn it over to me, I will undertake to screen out those difficulties that come to you because you attempt to apprehend too much too soon? Or, in some cases, I will step up the intensity of cosmic action in your world because it too is the requirement of the hour. The cosmic law is most efficient, beloved ones. It holds perfect contact with the mind of God. It holds perfect contact with the universal perfection of life that all may share and rejoice in. To be an Elohim may not seem to you today to be an easy task. Well, beloved ones, one grows into it by gradual steps, and then one is raised to that position. And so it is with all higher qualifications of spiritual development. Do not expect, precious ones, that you are going to discover all the mysteries of the universe in one day, or even 1,000 years. Try to understand and comprehend that what is perfect and right for you will be brought to you at the precise instant when it is a requirement of your life stream. The law is perfectly natural and beautiful in its manifestation, and how much could be saved embodied humanity if they would only realize that fact and not try to, as you have a saying in your realm, bite off too much that you cannot then chew. We want you to understand how the law is really so much concerned with the manifestation in each of you of that perfect balance of love, wisdom, and power, which the law conveys to each man in those hidden vibratory actions that are the essence of universal perfection for that one individual at that specific time in his own spiritual evolution. To have and to hold your Christ identity in your mind and consciousness is a very beautiful thing to witness, because even from our levels, sometimes the display, when you almost resemble 4th of July sparklers, is quite wonderful. We love to see individuals suddenly illumined and watch how the cosmic energy flashes forth not only over the screen of their mind, but over the screen of their heart, and the grids and force fields of cosmic identification that are already waiting and ready as chakras within your feeling world, within your physical body, and within your mental body, do hold the positive receptor mechanisms for your God presence that can manifest in the world of form the full beauty of the law right when it is required. Is this not a very wonderful thing, beloved ones, that mankind do not have to actually fashion these devices, these transformers of higher energy? They are already placed there by the wisdom and cosmic intelligence of your own God presence. We want you to understand how perfectly natural the unfoldment of a man's spiritual development comes about. We want you to understand how that love that has fashioned you so wisely and well. And yet, mankind say from time to time, we are experiencing this or that difficulty. Well, beloved ones, the way out of your difficulties is complete dependence upon your divine presence. We do not say that you ought not to use those resources which are given into your hand, or those resources of which you are yourselves aware. We want you to understand that each individual has awareness, and that awareness is a gift of God. It is the power of discernment in your lives, which tells you exactly what qualities you have that are sufficient to meet this or that emergency. Won't you understand how that the law then is so precious? How the law is so complete? All you need to do, precious ones of the light, is relax and let the benefits of heaven flow through your consciousness. And when this takes place, it is truly a blessing not only to yourself but to the world. For each man who is a follower of the light is an ark of God. He holds within himself a certain quantity and quality of the sacred fire. when the flame pulsates and rises on the altar of that one's heart, he is holding a certain quality of universal balance for all mankind. When that individual withholds the blessings of the law and does not actually spring forth with the grace that heaven has bestowed upon him, but instead retains this energy in an inactive state, it deprives the world of certain universal blessings. We want individuals to understand this. We want them to see that they have a place in the eternal scheme, and that place is assured if they will only call unto me, and I will answer you, saith the Lord. We want you tonight to engage in a cosmic experience, and therefore we have invoked the angels of our band, the angels from the heart of the all-seeing eye of God, to descend tonight into the force field that you have so carefully woven these days of blessed worship and instruction. We want you to understand then that the angels are descending now upon the ladder of life, and an acute intensification of cosmic energy is forming here right in your midst. And the blessing of heaven that we are bringing to you will bless and charge your four lower bodies with indomitable energy of perception. You will find yourselves in the weeks ahead, beginning at first slowly, but then increasing the tempo to understand and to perceive things that you were not able to do before, simply because of the descent of these cosmic energies, if you will accept them. For by cosmic law, we do not wish to give anyone anything that they do not want, but those that are sincere, those that are interested, those that will to know and to understand the blessing of cosmic grace, to them we willingly give the power of the all-seeing eye, the power to perceive what is acting in your world, the power to perceive how you can correct the action when it is wrong, the power to perceive how you can intensify the action when you so desire it, that you may become more and more masters of your world and more devoted to the purposes of the expansion of the light upon this planetary body. There is a reason for each of you being here. There is a reason why the cosmic law is generating in you now the blessings of cosmic perception. All knowledge is not given through worded instruction, beloved ones, a great deal of it being reserved for that radiant energy which heaven is able to bestow upon you because of its power to qualify life also. Do you think in the name of heaven that only you can qualify life and light? I think not. Blessed children of the light, we also are capable of universal qualification. And tonight we are doing just that. We are creating a sphere of pure and radiant green. This sphere, so beautifully encased in crystal by the angelic host, contains within the center of the sphere a replica of the all-seeing eye of God upon the great altar before his throne. The eye of God is an eye of light and has the power to draw together, to focalize energy, and to bring into the center of intensification in the mind of individualized mankind the realization of just what specific quality of life is acting everywhere. And to have this blessing that I bring to you tonight is a blessing that shall linger with you throughout your life so long as you yourselves will express the desire to retain it and the desire to express a continual interest in those spiritual things into which you are moving. Transcendent grace is coming into your consciousness even now. I increase the tangible flow. and behold, it is done. The angelic hosts that are with me have advised me that there are two people in the room resistant to the idea. Well, beloved hearts, I have already told you that I am not going to force it upon anyone. So rest at ease, for certainly I will not do so. And I am an Elohim. My word is inviolate and true, and what I have said shall come to pass. But those others who wish to receive this cosmic blessing will receive a great step up in their feeling world this night, a blessing of universal expansion. They will find out that they are a part of a vast, moving, electronic, atomic energy that flows from the heart of God through every angelic being, through every Elohim, through every part of life, even many parts of life that seem to you at first to be inert and inactive. For in reality, all parts of life retain within them a tremendous focus from the heart of the Godhead, which enables a relevant manifestation of wholeness to permeate the universe. The universe is not a shroud. It is a vibrant manifestation of divine intent. The universe is not a manifestation of happenstance, of circumstance, or of accident. The universe is a manifestation of perfect laws, as your mind and bodies also are. And the universe of perfect laws that manifests within you now is actually blessing you in a manner that many of you are not cognizant of at this time, yet some are. And to them I say peace and patience, for all in due course of time will receive the peace and the understanding which we seek to precipitate. For we are tonight precipitating energy in your midst, and you are witnessing at inner levels the precipitation of energy from the Elohimic level. Manifest. Behold the precipitated energy of perception. Look into the stars and see the fiery furnace, white hot, within the heart of the starry radiance of each star. Look into the atoms within your physical body. Look into the furnace of the electrons. Perceive the working of God right where you are. Look into the dura mater and pia mater of the brain. Observe the flow of the tiny currents and watch how the shivers run up and down your back, as some of you say. That is almost like liquid icicles of light and beauty functioning in your world and bringing you the understanding of the diamond shining mind of God. The beauty of divine perception is increased in you because we expect great things from you in the weeks and months to come, in the years to come. And the student body here, in 2 years, may well find out that they will be simply amazed at that which happens upon the planetary body as the result of what I am doing this night. Is it so small? Do you think it is so meaningless? Well, precious ones, we are investing a great deal of energy in you tonight, and we anticipate the return of those currents back to the very heart of God. We expect that you will experience many wonderful spiritual treasures in your life that will enhance you in the future days that lie ahead in greater comprehension and understanding of the draft of life, the plan thereof that clearly anticipates great fruit upon this planetary body. And I say great fruit for the glory of God. There are those who may be skeptical in the world. There are those who may not accept what we say as reality. But to you I say according to your faith, so be it unto you. I am Cyclopea. The intensification of the purposes of the plans of the ascended masters is very important to the entire spiritual hierarchy. Your own beloved El Moria, precious ones, has in his heart and mind a waiting and expectant attitude. During this class, we could call it a hushed attitude, for he has said nothing. But I can assure you that he waits with bated breath the manifestation in the lives of each of you of all that heaven intends to happen right now. And through each day that lies ahead, there is a specific and clear-cut plan whereby, as clear as crystal, you will be cut out without human hands into the formation of a most magnificent body of servers of humanity and of the heavenly host. Then we shall see what the world will say. For behold, how can they actually speak disparagingly of that which is a cosmic Christ accomplishment, a fait accompli, if you will. I come to you tonight to intensify this light of perception for a heavenly reason, because as mankind gains in his perception of spiritual things, he is able to harness a greater measure of cosmic energy. And as that energy continues to stream forth in an intensified manner, it is able to carry out many of the plans of heaven, which have hitherto not been carried out simply because of mankind's failure to be receptive to those things which we intend for the mankind of earth. I've heard it said that the millennium would come. I want you to understand that we are interested in opening up the 1,000-year reign of the Christ consciousness in mankind. Even now, even today, we are interested. And we signal you, each and every one of you, who can find a place in your heart to accept these words, saying that the light of 10,000 suns shall descend upon you this night, if you would accept it. I say, let it be done, and it shall be done. I say, in the name of God, in the name of your own beloved I Am Presence, accept this light and be free both now and forever. For your freedom is internal. Your freedom is inherent within you. You are not a moth flitting around the flame, waiting to enter the flame and be consumed. You are a living, blessed flame yourselves, and the glory of God and the perfection of God is in your life. And that radiance shall stand forth and separate you, a glorious people in the world that are manifesting the magnificent power of cosmic attraction. And I, if I be lifted up, will draw all men unto me, said the Master. These words will be fulfilled both now and forever, because they represent the cosmic triumph of life that is within the mind and being of man. O blessed ones, do not ever allow yourself to become defeated, to enter into a spirit of wrong visionary perception. When you see that the wrong kinds of perceptions are being given unto you, when you see that the wrong thoughts are entering your world, call unto me and unto your own beloved I Am Presence, and ask for assistance, and watch how speedily that assistance will come forth, transforming all that is done into a mighty and transcendent victory, not only for yourselves, but for all mankind. Be free then tonight to allow your beating heart to race merrily along in the certitude that heaven will take pity upon the plight of those individuals who are truly seeking for light and help, that they may give help. This is our prayer, that the expansion of cosmic intent occur through you, for then we are certain that the whole world will be the recipient of greater energies. What we can do through you will also be done through others. And the whole planetary belt, the belt of the mind, the belt of the spirit, the belt of the feeling world of mankind, will be charged with that indomitable energy, which is not only from the heart of an Elohim, but from every angel, from every individual upon this planetary body in whom dwells the beauty and perfection of the Holy Christ self. I am Cyclopea, and I release unto you tonight, according to cosmic law, the full intensification of which I have spoken. And I say, let it come forth, and let it redound, and let it be magnified, for heaven is thus glorified. My peace I leave with you, and I seal you in the heart of the eye of God, and the great beauty of the flame of green, which I have brought with me this night to create that beauty and serenity of spirit and soul, which is the nature of your heavenly Father. I thank you. Blessed ones, as you commence to draw energy from the great eternal source in a more than ordinary measure, it will be the function of your inner being to draw upon the great magnet of life. And there are many thoughts that are engaged in channeling cosmic energy into your being, into your heart, and directing that energy toward those among mankind who require it. You should always bear in mind the situation governing other parts of life. For other parts of life, from time to time, are functioning at levels where much that you are doing may seem to be utterly unreasonable or unrealistic. We recall many times in the past when we have sought to minister unto humanity, where they have continually felt that what we were doing was visionary, impractical, and not at all based upon cosmic law. For they did not understand cosmic law as we do, albeit the intelligence of God is one. These individuals had supposed that because they had a mind, that of necessity it must correctly function. And this is indeed a misconception of human individuals. They will think sometimes, because they have a vital function, that that function should work correctly. But there is an interaction between the being of man, and there are qualifications that are involved in each one's action in the world of form, that so many among mankind do not even pretend to understand, yet will, of course, speak to you if asked and say, "Oh yes, I understand it all." Beloved ones, cosmic law in reality is very involved. It may have simplistic connotations. It can be looked upon as though it is uncomplicated, for in reality it is. But still, just as your outer world sciences are themselves quite complicated when one deals with the final pulling together of many factors governing a given situation, the same is true of cosmic law. Do not be surprised then if you come face to face in life with the fact that you will be understood at the moment when you strive so hard not to be understood, and you will not be understood when you strive so hard to be understood. We want you to understand that human beings, often themselves not quite clear in just what course of action they should take, but not wanting for anything in the world to tell others about it, will certainly give an air of superiority to one another and say with a toss of the head, "Oh yes, I understand it thoroughly." We have heard this statement so often, and we have observed so often that many very simple matters are complicated needlessly by humanity, and many very complicated matters are simplified by them, or supposedly so, when in reality they do not simplify it at all. Charity toward mankind is a great gift. And truly, in your realm as well as in ours, one should learn to be charitable and not try to pin people down, to give answer and disclose their ignorance. No one in this world particularly enjoys this. Therefore, it is always the best part of cosmic judgment, dear ones, to be able to be kind to those you meet and understanding to them, even in those moments when it may be trying to your soul and taxing to your consciousness to do so. We want to see you build up a strong forte of creative love, the love that can respond at a given moment to the love of another without of necessity dissecting that love and seeing what it is made of or what the motive may be behind it. Has it ever occurred to you, beloved ones, that many people go about in this world without even having a formulation of motive? They have not actually made the proper determinations of cosmic law that enable them to truly give an opinion that is wise. In the formative state, then, of man's opinions, let us give him the opportunity to expand his consciousness and wisdom without criticizing him or creating those situations in thought and feeling that bring distress to any part of life. By the great cosmic tides of charity, you can bring down, through humility, the warmth of cosmos in your being. The generation of love is akin to the generation of wisdom. And when love and wisdom function hand in hand, together with power, the manifestation of the greatest strength of the threefold flame of action comes about. Many individuals today will hear you speak of the threefold flame, and they will not understand it, for they have not had the opportunity to do so. Give them the same opportunity that you give yourself, the same opportunity that you gave yourself. Do you understand the meaning of cosmic tolerance, I plead today with the students to understand the need for tolerance toward other parts of life. There is still a great deal of rigidity in the student body, and yet we have watched over the years as mellowness of heart has brought greater love into their world. We are concerned with that love and with the expansion thereof, but we are also concerned with students who are just beginning to understand and grasp cosmic law. The slightest little upset could so easily turn them away from the spiritual path. For somehow or other, they fancy that each of you are cosmic outposts. Do you see? And if you fail to exhibit the quality of love to them, they may decide that all of heaven has turned against them. Do you see what this means? When you have that God balance within yourself that can gaze upon various types of individuals without favor or criticism, but with just the simple, sweet mellowness of the essence of love and wisdom in action. How beautiful it is to see a spiritual community where love holds sway. But in the arena of action, it must be recognized that errors will occur, and when they occur, people ought not to become hard-hearted and supercritical, but instead super-tolerant and open to the joys of God that are actually emulsifying the whole activity of ascended master students into a beautiful cordon of perfection. But this requires time and patience, the welding together of God-directed individuals at those precise moments when they are encountering various aspects of their own karmic patterns. I specifically want to charge you today to recognize this fact, that karmic patterns come to all, returning currents of the energy man has sent out. When you begin to understand this in yourself, it will help you to understand it in others. And as a result, we will attract more and more of mankind to the light. But if instead we create rigidity and fierceness, there is a grave danger that we will turn them away from the light and thus create a frightful karma. I know that the students do not want to engage in this practice in reality, but there is something about righteousness and holiness, something about purity and godliness, that when misused seems to create a spirit of rebellion in those who have not found yet the joy of God in the fullness of their lives. Give them that opportunity of reaping the great cosmic joy which you first reaped, O more advanced students of the light. For when you do this, you are nursing them in a spiritual way, giving them the milk of universal kindness, expanding the sweet spirit of purity and cosmic truth. We want you to understand that the light of the Christ reality of the universe may be in the treasure chest of your being, but all individuals may not see it. I remember long ago in Assisi, when I first received the grace of God in a greater measure,
And my old friends came to me, and they spoke to me and said, "Is it really true that you have become involved in religion to the extent that you have changed your way of life?" And I said to them, "Yes, it is true, and I am happy, I am joyous, and this is what I want." And they spoke to me and said, "Are you sure? Are you convinced? Do you really want this? Or will it be just a passing fancy?" And I said to them, "I have not yet found out, but I believe with all my heart that it will be for as long as I live." And so it was. For as each sweet day came and then passed into the next one, blending therewith, I began to realize more and more the meaning of the phrase, brother wind, brother sun, brother, sister, father, divine mother. And my consciousness flowed out with universal energy. Whenever I observed the sun to rise, it was a melting of my being into the focalizing light. And because of the factor of identification with that light, I flowed out in it always. And sometimes, to be honest with you, it was difficult for me to pursue my spiritual exercises because I became so involved in the drama of nature. And then one day, in my prayers to the Divine Mother, to Mary, I reached up to her heart and heard her voice. And she said to me, "Francis, the Lord would have all of thee, not in just the compartments of thy mind that hold enjoyment, but also in those that hold to the law of thy being." And when she spoke to me thus, I recognized exactly what she meant. And I started to put it into greater practice. My attention then, not leaving completely the blessed elements of nature, but entering also into a greater relationship with people, with my friends, my spiritual friends, and contacting the Father Eternal in order to be able to bring them the blessing of sweet release. And when we formed the Brothers of St. Francis, and when we begin to erect churches and perform many curious tasks, seemingly totally unrelated to the tasks of a spiritual teacher, we found ourselves quite enmeshed in physical action, sometimes precisely at the moment when inwardly we sought prayer. And so we learned to practice the ritual of prayer in our work. And we sanctified our work, and we learned how to make a vaulted cathedral out of a shed. We learned how to make the greatest beauty of floral gardens out of a curious rock pile or pile of rubble. We learned how to qualify life with the qualities we desired in our heart. And so we mounted to the stars in consciousness, but remained with one foot upon the earth beneath. And even when the moment that we passed from the earth came at last, we still retained loving remembrance for the things of the earth that had served us so well. Brother wind, brother sun, brother sky. All things were our brothers, and we learned to love them as a manifestation of God. We recommend to you all, then, an increase in simple and sweet understanding. For whereas there are great tomes of wisdom that we sometimes do utter to you, we find in many cases that the younger brothers require instruction in the basic factors of life, which they do not always receive in this world when they move thither and yon, that they do not always receive from the various books that have been written. To enter into the heart of Thomas à Kempis, to enter into the heart of your beloved Jesus, or any of the disciples, or those who have written and written well, is a different process than to merely read the inscribed words they have written. For there is a difference between the word and the greatness of the individual who wrote the word. It is the difference of the Father and the Son. Yet our Master said, "He that hath seen me hath seen the Father." And thus, if you will bear this always in mind, when you meet individuals, you will strive that they may recognize the Father in you. This is not an outer striving, a manifestation of strange alchemical formulas. It is simply an inward activity of the soul that reaches up through the strata of manifestation until it comes at last to that realm above all manifestation. And there you will find in the still small voice of God that counsel for the moment that you require. So I say today, let love be without dissimulation. Be not carried away by your spiritual exercises, but remain tethered to that devotion which creates stability in others. Thus shall you create stability in yourself, and your faith will mount up as on eagle wings, until the high-flying creature of the soul will behold the world as a place of beauty. When the church bells that still toll ring out, pulled by hands of love and hope, you will hear the peal of the bells, and you will feel a kinship with God in the similitude of the Angelus. Your hearts will be anointed with the oil of peace. You will realize the greatest attainments in the world are not always the most spectacular. These are inward attainments of the soul and nature of God within man. Grow in his grace and his love, and cast out fear and torment. For then we are certain that the crescendo and torrent of his love will always flow in thee, and thou wilt not depart from the faith, nor breach thy trust. Thou wilt not separate thyself from the eternal purposes of God ever, but thou wilt grow in grace and the knowledge of the kingdom. His spiritual wealth is greater by far than any of you realize. It is greater by far than even some of us realize. It is transcendent. Like the dawn, it comes up with the hope of an eternal day without end. Would you now bring forth the young child, that I may sponsor this child? In the name of the Brotherhood, this one comes from high realms of light. By free will choice, this one refused the ascension when this one merited it, and comes now into the world of the distraught, that this child may serve the Brotherhood, is our prayer. That this child may fulfill the destiny of the sons of light is our hope. In sponsoring her, we stand, both myself and beloved Jesus, as co-sponsors of her radiance and sweetness and desire to serve the Brotherhood. In the name of the living God, by the authority and power of the entire spirit of the great white Brotherhood, by the love of infinity and the power of the angels, I sponsor thee and stand before the lords of karma as thy representative, and I name thee as thou hast been named, Tatiana Marie Prophet. In the name of cosmic fire, in the name of the wind and the sun, and the name of life eternal, in the name of your I Am presence, I bless thee. And it is done. May the hand of the Infinite One ever be placed upon thee, and may thou carry into the world of form that which our Brotherhood requires of thee, and may none hurt thee or give thee grief, for the seal of the protection of the Brotherhood inwardly rests ever upon thee. I, Kuthumi, have spoken.